Hello everyone and welcome to Regal Boxing. And if you've been following this channel for long enough, you can remember last year when I said that Dmitry Bivol's hardest fight was Craig Richards. Now, a lot of you laughed at me, but recently, Dmitry Bivol himself mentioned Craig Richards being the hardest fight he's had.
Who's the hardest fighter that you fought?
You know, every fight is hard. I remember even the Craig Richards, when I was fighting Craig Richards in England, it wasn't easy for me.
So I'm going to go over my video that I done last year, and I'm going to explain to you why Dmitry Bivol struggled so much against Craig Richards, because styles make fights. I'm also going to explain to you briefly why Beterbiev cannot beat Bivol. It's in the styles. Now, first, it's very important to understand that in boxing, styles make fights. It's not just about who's a stronger fighter or who's even more skilled. It's about the style you use to present those skills, the style you use to present your physical strength. As the old saying goes, styles makes fights. Now, although Bivol clearly won the fight, he did struggle. And someone with a high boxing IQ and a good boxing eye can see that Bivol struggled more than he ever has. And the reason why was because their styles clashed. Now, there's an old saying in boxing that goes, the one that controls the distance controls the fight. And that is the whole point of the pendulum step, is to control the distance. It's not just to attack you, step away, step back. No, you're controlling the distance. If your opponent stands still, you're able to spring back and forth and pick them up with shots. Bivol isn't always looking for the knockout. In fact, he's never looking for the knockout. But if it comes, it comes. He's trying to outbox you by controlling the distance. Now, when he's in there with someone like Craig Richards, who doesn't just stand still, he's not able to just bring it back and forth because Craig Richards is standing outside of his reach. So when Bivol tries to step into the reach, Craig steps back. Then Bivol steps in, Craig steps back. Then Bivol steps in, then Craig hits him, for example. So there's a constant battle there that somebody with a high boxing IQ won't even realize. It'll be unknown to them what's actually happening. They'll be standing there looking at each other. And you think that it's looking at each other, you think that it's gazing at each other, but no, they're trying to catch each other out so they can close the gap or step back. And that is the main reason why he struggled so much. It's all about distance control. And although that sounds like something that's small, that is huge. Distance control in boxing is everything. Whether you've got a style like Dmitry Bivol, Craig Richards, or whether you've got a style like Mike Tyson and you want to close the distance, they're still controlling the distance. That's kind of, I'm just simplifying why Craig was a very hard fight for Dmitry Bivol. But what it is that Craig Richards also understands the importance of controlling the distance. So Craig Richards isn't a boxer that can easily get outmaneuvered because he's trying to outmaneuver his opponent. So when you saw the fight and you saw Bivol was trying to outmaneuver him, so was Craig, who was trying to outmaneuver Bivol back. At times you saw Craig pushing backwards, keeping Bivol on the outside, which Bivol is not used to. But then you saw later on, Craig pushed forward a little bit. I believe that Craig should have pushed forward earlier and harder, and he could have won the fight. Now I'm going to insert a clip from the old video from last year, which breaks down and explains in a photographic manner of why Bivol struggled against Craig Richards.
The boxer who controls the distance controls the fight. Soviet-style boxing is all about controlling distance to be able to land clean attacks. To exploit this gap in style, you want to box from outside of opponent's reach. This forces them to walk towards you. Pendulum step works effectively when you set feet even just momentarily to exchange punches. You being still allows Bivol to step in and out of range like a yo-yo. So, if you're facing a fighter like Bivol, focus on maintaining good footwork and utilizing your reach advantage to keep him at bay.
And this is the exact reason why Beterbiev is going to lose to Dmitry Bivol. Now, in the last video, I said that Canelo had poor footwork in comparison to Bivol. The fact is, he does, in comparison to Bivol. Bivol was someone who moves in different directions at different times in a second notice. Canelo just plods along. In comparison, Canelo has world-class footwork, of course. In comparison to Bivol, his footwork is poor. That's the truth. Now, Beterbiev, although he has far superior footwork to Canelo. His footwork is far too stationary to box somebody like Bivol. He stands still for a moment. He moves and boxes. He stands still. He moves and boxes. He doesn't punch and step. So the thing about Bivol is that he catches you out of your rhythm because he's stepping forward and punching together in sync. And that's such a big advantage. When somebody boxes like that, it's a very big advantage. But a lot more than you might think. He's similar to Floyd Mayweather when he knocked out Ricky Hatton. So he came backwards, but he stepped as he threw the left hook. He's punching and stepping together. Not many fighters can do that, but the boxers that can do that usually stay at the top of the game. Now, I know Beterbiev's got a knockout. It's got good. I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't agree that his power is as concussive as people are saying, like one punch. But I do believe that he is still a tremendous puncher. He's got 100% knockout ratio. So, of course he can punch. Even though knockout records don't just mean you can punch, they mean you can box and score knockouts, but forget that. So what we need to understand about this fight is, in my opinion, before it comes down to these small little tactics like Beterbiev does this and then you drop your hands, no. Before it comes down to all of those things, the basis is controlling the distance so you can land your shot. If you're unable to control the distance, no matter how good you are when you're in close, you can't even land a punch. Manny Pacquiao fought Floyd Mayweather. After the fight, he looked pissed. The reason why he looked pissed because he felt like the fight didn't even get started. Because Mayweather didn't let him get started. He just controlled the distance. And Pacquiao was just like, what's this? People saying, oh, if they fought 5 years ago, whatever. If they fought 5 years ago, Pacquiao wouldn't be able to land those punches because Mayweather's controlling the distance. It's that simple. That's the reason why Beterbiev will struggle. For similar reason how Bivol ended up beating Craig was because he controlled the distance a little bit better, but I believe Bivol's going to have a much more easier time controlling the distance. Of course, the threat of him getting hit by Beterbiev is going to far outweigh what he did when he fought Craig, for example, but I believe the fight will be easier because he won't have to struggle as much to control the distance. And if you don't have to struggle to control the distance, power comes less into play because you're not actually being hit. Remember, at world level, these guys have had hundreds of fights. So there's not fear that's in people's mind, like, ooh, I don't want to get hit. That fear's not there. It's not there. He's not scared. He's just going to box him. But the reason why it may possibly, I believe it will be easier, is because Beterbiev won't be able to get into range. And if he does get into range, double guard, check hook, Bivol will spin off. Trust me, come back to the comment section after this fight and we can talk about why I was correct. And you can say, now you've leveled up in your knowledge of boxing and now you understand boxing better. If Bivol could overcome his weakness in boxing, which is in Craig Richards' style, then I believe he can overcome his strength in Beterbiev, which is a fighter coming forward towards him. But let me know what you think in the comments. Be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe if you enjoyed the video for future content, and check out my playlist, Regal Boxing Talks. If you enjoy listening to me speak about boxing and you want to get a conversation going, get debate going, then be sure to watch that playlist.